On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Folks, even the Democrats are starting to see this. This is called fraud and abuse, and it's being demonstrated. And most people, regardless of what affiliation they're with, don't like having their taxpayer money wasted. So, of course, we're going to see this kind of break down into geopolitical spectrums, if you will, meaning people that were born here in America or are legal citizens are going to have a very different opinion than those that are not here legally. And I think we're going to see that breakdown in society start to occur. And it is. And it's New York. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. And of course, Minnesota is just breaking through, and everybody's going to start paying attention everywhere to what's happening. This is blowing the cover off of everything. And we're also finding out that they've been investigating themselves, and yet, they still haven't found anything they've done wrong. Well, that's all changing, and we're changing that, and that's because of us. We're doing an excellent job, guys. Got a lot of news to cover, a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, certainly fraud. Start off with New Year's. Happy New Year's to everybody. Today's the 1st. They did some cool pictures that they did onto the National Monument last night, or the giant penis. It is kind of cool. This is the one picture they did here, and I got a few of them, actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, these guys actually showed a few of them as well. So they put all sorts of crazy cool stuff up onto the monument, which is very, very cool. Look at that. Very, very cool. Nice. I think we have a couple more pictures of it, too, that they shared with us. Let's see if I can open this up over here. So we got that one, which we kind of showed, that one, which we showed, and pretty much showed all of them. So kind of cool though, right? Would have been fun to be there. President Trump was celebrating at Mar-a-Lago. Now, someone pointed out something interesting. I don't know, it was Rambo or one of those guys that he runs with. But they had pointed out that the Air Force One was not in the Orlando airport, I guess. It wasn't at the airport that it normally would be at. It wasn't there. Not there. Even when Zelensky supposedly showed up, his aircraft, people were saying they didn't see it there either. So many people are wondering if this is actually the real Trump or not. Again, there's always been doubles forever, triples and quadruples. There's always been duplicate leaders, always. And we've understood that Trump has been under enormous pressure, and there's many people that want him very, very badly dead, very much. So hard to say exactly what's going on. But based off of the portrayal that's being shared with us, Trump was hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, walking around with his gorgeous wife, which that bugged me a little bit. It's like, dude, you got to hold her hand. It's like, dude, she's smoking hot. Of course I am. It's like, bro, it's not even your wife. Now, it'd be one thing if they had a fake Melania, right, to run around with the fake Trump. That'd be kind of cool, right? Then it wouldn't matter. But, again, not exactly sure. But this was cool. President Trump just had an artist paint Jesus Christ at the Mar-a-Lago, and he was doing it live. Kind of cool. Here's a little bit of that going on. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Gotta like that. What else we got here? We got Trump. He was talking about leading the charity auction during the Mar-a-Lago event. Got a couple things from there that we're going to share.
All right, we're at $2.5 million. Anybody else? Going once? $2,750,000. Who is it? Oh, I know who that guy is. He's got plenty of cash. Well, thank you very much. I'm a charity. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have a good time tonight. I appreciate it.
That's pretty cool. Again, a lot of money to pay for a picture, but that's awesome. A painting, nonetheless, it's going to a wonderful cause. Trump calls for peace on earth at Mar-a-Lago's New Year's celebration. We're going to share a little of this. This isn't my girl Alice, though. We do have got a video coming up. Alice was featured in. Woohoo! We'll be playing that later. Needless to say, there's Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
And President Trump, meanwhile, welcomed the new year at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. He shared his New Year's resolution with reporters.
Mr. President, do you have a New Year's resolution?
I have. Peace on earth. Peace on earth. You can come in if you'd like.
Trump also vowed last night to get to the bottom of an alleged welfare fraud scandal in Minnesota. And he presided over a charity auction, bringing in more than $2.5 million for a painting of Jesus. Several administration officials also joined the celebration, including Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. There were some pictures of Kristi Noem dancing. I guess she was dancing to Ice Ice Baby. And that made some attentions. She's moving all right as far as I'm concerned. So yes, Trump, wonderful thing they shared here at the White House. I was the hunted. Now I'm a hunter. And we are experiencing that. It's kind of crazy what's going on. Zohran Mamdani takes his oath on the Quran as he is sworn in as New York City's mayor. First person ever to be sworn in with the Quran. That's interesting. Islamic specifically too, which is all sorts of problems right now in the world, frankly. A lot of people blaming Islamic beliefs for a lot of the problems. And again, they're kind of radicalized Muslims, essentially. And again, I don't like getting in the mix of that. I don't like painting with broad brushes like that. And I don't like trying to start a religious war. I don't like playing a part in the race war stuff that's going on. There's a lot of this kind of division that's happening. So not generally fond of that, but it certainly needs to be mentioned. Needless to say, he, yes, has been sworn in. It's going to be interesting to see what the hell happens to New York. That's all I can say. National Guard patrols New Orleans ahead of the new year amid vehicle ramming threats. They had some threats. I didn't see anything that suggested they had any problems. We definitely had some weird stuff happen yesterday, but it looks like they were able to quell many of the alleged rumors that we were hearing. So this is kind of good news, right? I mean, Chicago authorities warn the New Year's Eve celebrations could attract foreign and domestic terrorists. Here's a little of that.
Chicago officials are sounding the alarm ahead of New Year's Eve. Law enforcement agencies warning this week that large celebrations, including fireworks events, could be an attractive target for terrorists, saying there are no specific threats, but they are monitoring risks such as vehicle ramming attacks or the use of drones. And in New Orleans, city officials are requesting heightened security after the FBI stopped a threat targeting Border Patrol agents. Authorities say the suspect is allegedly affiliated with an extremist group known as Turtle Island Liberation Front, the same group tied to an alleged New Year's Eve bomb plot in Southern California. 4 alleged members of the group have been charged with conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction, providing and attempting to provide material support to terrorists, and possession of unregistered firearms. According to court documents, the defendants described plans they intended to implement following the New Year's Eve's bombings, including their plans to target U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE agents, and vehicles with firearms and pipe bombs to take some of them out and scare the rest of them. And overseas, 7 countries are canceling their New Year's Eve plans, citing safety concerns. Let's bring in retired NYPD officer.
Yeah, I saw some crazy stuff that was happening in Germany. This poor lady, some German content creator, was walking through the streets, brightly dressed, but she got attacked 2 different occasions, stuff thrown at her. Just horrendous stuff that's happening. Absolutely crazy. And again, it's meant to get us fighting each other. This is entirely what they're trying to do. So please understand that. And please, anytime you catch yourself getting angry at a group of people, understand that's exactly what the deep state wants. They want you pissed off at a group of people. They want you doing crazy stuff. Please be smarter than that. We will win this. We'll win this legally, and we will expose the corruption that's happening in the process. But it is a process. Keep that in mind. A horrific video shows the moment the deadly New Year's Swiss ski resort fire started. And they actually figured out what the likely cause of this was. There is this ski resort in Swiss mountains, basically, and there was 40 people died in this fire. Many, many injured. 40 people dead. Apparently what happened is one of the bartenders, or the waitresses, brought a bunch of drinks out, champagne flutes, that had sparklers stuck in them. Multiple sparklers, apparently, on one tray. And apparently that started the roof on fire. And once that happened, all shiz broke loose. People couldn't breathe. A lot of people died, probably from asphyxiation, or at least passed out. And then the fire killed them. But horrible, just deadly accident. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. And this, again, was in Swiss mountains. The name of the place was, it's up here somewhere. The Swiss ski resorts. What the hell are you called? They had a fancy name. Well, it's not really a fancy name. Yeah, Crans, Montana ski resort. I don't know, some resort town. I was trying to dig into it, like who might have been on the guest list. They made it seem like they, had some cheap ski lift passes you could get and stuff. So I don't know how fancy this place is. It did make me wonder. But again, started by the waitress. This wasn't anything that seems to be terrorist-oriented. Just really crap luck is what it seems like. Again, we'll find out if anything additional does come out. Health subsidies expire. So that was the big thing, right? The Obama the subsidy plan, the ACA, all that DACA crap and all that. Well, not DACA, but the ACA stuff. Those subsidies expired. That's it. That's done. There were some specifics in here. A lot of people are crying about it. Oh, I used to only pay this much. Now I got to pay this much. And it's like, I get it. Kind of sucks. I literally cannot afford health care. I make decent money. I literally can't afford it. It does not make sense. It is so expensive for something that I never use. It's extraordinary. Now, everyone, like the big thing, they're like, well, yeah, but you're supposed to be in it, and that way it's more affordable for everybody. No, it's not. That's the big fat fucking lie. It's not. Doesn't matter. They're raping the hell out of all of us. They're raping employers paying for this. They're raping a bunch of us. These subsidies should not go directly from the government to companies. They should go directly from the government to individuals. 100% agree with that. This has to change. I'm glad that we more or less held the line on this. We'll see. Donald Trump truthed this out. Republicans, no more money to fat cat insurance companies. The money must go directly to the people to buy their own health care. President DJT. So yes, thank God. Donald Trump also truthed this out. We are removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in those cities, and only by that fact. Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago were gone if it weren't for the federal government stepping in. We will come back, perhaps in a much different and stronger form, when crime begins to soar again. Only a question of time. It is hard to believe that these Democrat mayors and governors, all of whom are greatly incompetent, would want us to leave, especially considering the great progress that has been made. President Donald J. Trump. Investors, they've scooped up some 40% of the vacant lots from the Palisades fire. Literally, so many people are desperate because they're still getting charged property tax, by the way, guys. They don't have a house, but they technically still own the property. So they still have to pay property tax. A lot of people can't afford it. Don't have a house, can't live there. They can't afford to continue to pay money for something that doesn't exist. Whereas, what, is it a year or 2 years later? I feel like the fire was 2 years ago. But I think somewhere in here they were like, it's our year anniversary. It's like, wow, has it only been a year? 11,000 homes destroyed. Let's see, the total residential housing value of the 19,605 homes in the affected regions were about $46 billion prior to the fires. More than 11,000 of those homes were destroyed. Median home price in this area is listed at about $1.95 million as of December 2024. So they are a lot of people, investors, Redfin and stuff like that, have been coming in and offering up money and discounts, really. These people are getting great deals. And any of you guys got any chunks of money, you might want to go out and try to offer these people some money too. Maybe you'd end up with some really, really good property. And maybe you could screw with LA's plans to essentially turn this into a smart city, which I'm sure is what they wanted to do and probably still want to do. And I feel like there's a number of homes that they weren't able to destroy that maybe they intended to also, which is problematic. Here's my girl, Alice Tang. She's telling us all about Warren Buffett stepping down, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Let's listen to my lovely dear friend tell us about that.
Today isn't just the last day of 2025, it is also Warren Buffett's last day as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. The 95-year-old has served as the CEO for 60 straight years, and he announced his retirement earlier this spring. The famed investor has spent much of his life among the top 10 richest people in the world. And according to Bloomberg, he has racked up a net worth of around $150 billion. Buffett will remain as chairman. Greg Abel, who is the vice chairman of non-insurance corporations of Berkshire, and he will take over the reins as CEO.
That she's hot. Whatever. That's all there is to it. I can tell she's getting coached a lot, and it's got to be frustrating, but maybe she's open to it. Who knows? Coaching can be so frustrating, but you can tell she's trying to be more smiling when she's giving her newscast. You can see a little more smile in her eyes and on her face. Kind of cute. Anyway, well, she's adorably cute, but all said. Stock markets closed today. Everything futures is looking down in the big picture. Silver is still looking down. They've almost got it down to $70, it was up to 84, 85. It'll get there. It'll get back there. That's not a question. They did this because they needed to close out the year. It's going to spike really over this next coming week. And it's going to be very interesting how that plays out. I think gold was up to 45 something. It's down a couple $100. Again, that's good. If you're somebody that's in the market, you got a 401k or an IRA, highly recommend you consider getting the hell out, and we'll talk about that in a second. Crypto's looking up a little bit today in the big picture. Let's see. Everything else, what do we got? Yeah. I think most of the markets are closed. All said. Yeah. Confidence is down. That's one thing. Everything else is down as well. Gold, oil, everything. Gold, oil's still sitting at 57.41. It's been kind of floating under 60. We'll see what happens. I am going to be uploading that great video that I did with Steve Earle, or I feel like I got his name wrong. Earle's his last name for sure, but he was super good, and we're going to get that video up here coming up shortly. Let's see. Peter's his name. Sorry, Peter. He was awesome. So I'm going to upload that a little later today. I had to kind of had someone check it out and make sure everything was okay from their standpoint, and it was. So we are good and golden. And it's just some very good information when it comes to precious metals, the markets, what's going on. Some of what we can expect. He's not into he's not into future telling. Prognostication, I think is the word I was hoping to say. But he's not into that, and what's smart. And I actually respect him more for that. A lot of people like to prognosticate. Sometimes not the best idea. Most of the time you're wrong. That's how it works. But all said, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, if you are sitting in the market, you are losing buying power every day. When you look at the price of gold, gold is priced according to inflation. Meaning, as the Federal Reserve note becomes less valuable, the price of gold becomes more expensive based off Federal Reserve note money. The price of gold has gone up significantly, and in fact, it's gone up way faster than the stock market, which means the growth you've had at the stock market, albeit good and great, is significantly lower than inflation, which means you've lost buying power, literally. You have lost purchasing power. You have lost the ability to continue to make money. I mean, you're losing money. You're losing buying power. You're losing wealth. Back in 1915, 1913, this could buy you a fully handmade tailored suit. He even used that example, which is pretty cool. Today, this can buy you a fully handmade tailored suit, maybe even slightly a really, really nice one. It's held its buying power. It's not gotten better. It's not gotten worse. It's held its buying power. When you look at inflation, look at the price of gold compared to the price of stocks, you're losing buying power in the stocks. Now, the other great part about this is silver. There is a huge multiplier baked into silver. It's used in production. It's used in manufacturing. There is some shortages of it, and there's a lot of people like you and me that are trying to get our hands on it. Silver is a multiplier. Silver will easily hit 200-ish by the end of next year. Could be more than that. Easily will hit 200. It's sitting at 70 right now. That's more than 3 times, or almost 3 times, that it's going to go up. Huge multiplier. Take advantage of the silver. My friends at Goldco, they're going to offer you up to 10% free silver to transfer, diversify, divest, choose which word you like, from your 401k or IRA into a precious metals backed IRA. It's incredible how it works. It's also fantastic. One, you're going to do it tax-free, penalty-free. They move the money sideways, as much of it as they can, tax-free, penalty-free. It's physical precious metals. They literally put them into a vault. It's got your name on it. They are your physical metals. There's no paper contracts. There's no nonsense like that. Physical metals that they will send to you if you ask them to. That's considered a payout. But there's physical metals that they can send to you that you already will own. Now, up to 10% free silver, they're going to throw on top of that. Again, physical metals. Throwing on top of that. There is a multiplier baked into the silver. Take advantage of this. Take advantage of the up to 10% free silver. That's a huge offering from Goldco. These guys are awesome. They have the best customer service out there. You're going to absolutely love your experience, and you're going to love the fact that you've protected your wealth. If you put in your 4 data points, hit the button, you're going to get a little thing that pops up, says calls this number in 20 minutes. If you can do that, you're going to get the free collectible Ronald Reagan coin, which is a pretty sweet offering, by the way. It's half ounce, 0.999% pure silver. And it's half ounce, just on face value, it's worth $35 right now, which changes frequently. But on top of that, it's got a cool picture of Ronald Reagan on the front, and it's a collector's item. It's very cool. You're going to get that just for calling within 20 minutes. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Protect your wealth. Protect it before this crazy monopoly falls apart. And that is what's happening. The Federal Reserve note's losing power, and it's supposed to. This is by design. Protect yourself. Don't wait for someone to protect you. Don't wait for someone to come in and protect you and take care of you. It's not how it's going to play out, probably. Protect yourself. Get out of their system. Protect the wealth you've got and put it in a place that's going to actually do well during this transition. And then once we get to treasury notes, real constitutional money that will be backed by precious metals, you've already got the precious metals. You will immediately be able to transition that money into the new treasury notes. I even talk about that with my good friend. So we will see it. Peter, really just brilliant. I hope you guys check out the interview. It's a really cool interview, and we'll probably talk about it for a while once I get it uploaded, and I'll reference it. But a lot of good stuff came out of that interview. Check it out. You guys can protect your wealth, and this is the time to do it. Gold and silver is normally not a good investment. When the economy is crashing and collapsing, it's the best investment. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that stupid system before that stupid system gets out of you. All right, Trump delays the increased tariffs on upholstered furniture, kitchen cabinets, and vanities for 1 year. I think he's trying to give us a chance to get more of that back into the United States because, again, a lot of people like to buy those things, and if you make them stupid expensive, it's going to cause problems with home building, remodeling, a lot of stuff like that. So he's being wise to delay it 1 year. That's cool. GOP fiscal hawks, they're balking at the $5.7 billion for refugees in 2026 HHS funding bill. All these guys are coming back to Congress on the 5th and 6th, I believe. Congress is going to be coming back together. And there's already a lot of people that are pretty pissed off. A couple of Republican senators are pledging to vote against this bill for labor and health and human services. It's including $5.69 billion for refugee assistance services. The amount is less than the $6.3 billion that HHS Administration of Children and Families, which runs various refugee and asylee support programs, it's a little bit less than what they got back in 2024 and 2025, but it's still significantly higher than what it was prior to Biden getting a hold of it. Prior to Biden, it was $1.91 billion. Now it's $5.69 billion, significantly more. All of that increase was done during Biden's term. These guys are like, look, you get this money down, you get it down, or we're not doing this. Now, again, Rand Paul's in there. I don't know. There's a part of me that wants Rand Paul to be a good guy, but man, he's just on the wrong side of so many things. In this case, he's sort of on the right side of things. Again, I don't trust senators at all. I think there's like 3 of them that are decent. Senator Mike Lee, he's not really on the list as far as I'm concerned. Utah is definitely not doing well. Romney is a pile of trash, obviously. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get these things straightened out, certainly in the next election, especially if we've got fair elections. We'll see how that plays out. Brad Zerbo posted this. Trump Windmill number 13 took down an eagle. Eagle was Bill Clinton's Secret Service name. January 13th is when Bill Clinton is subpoenaed for testimony regarding the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. These are those moments where the little numbers things that a lot of the Anons do, I'm like, okay, this was a pretty good grab. Like, I saw this. I saw the 13. I'm like, all right, it's 13. Good old lucky number, right? Like, so it's good. I love the fact that people's brains work like this. Mine doesn't. And I rely on people's brains who do, right? I don't always trust everything they say, that's for sure. But a lot of times they've got some pretty solid stuff. So very interesting. A lot of people were fighting over, this is a hawk. It's not an eagle. It's like, I don't even know for sure. I know there's brown eagles, by the way. I mean, there are. But it could be a hawk. I don't know. It's certainly not a bald eagle, which is what Trump called it. It's definitely not one of those. But eagles come in a few different forms. So, whatever the case is, that's definitely not something I'm going to worry about. All right, a lot of fraud stuff. Let's get the ball rolling here. This is going to be interesting. Citizen journalists and civic activists are spotlighting potential Somali fraud of taxpayer funding, not just in Minnesota, but in multiple states across this great nation. A lot of people are looking up there in Washington State, Federal Way in particular, in this particular one post here. There are 539 Somali daycare centers here in Washington State. I like this guy. Let's check him out.
I know just about everyone has seen the videos from Nick Shirley talking about what's happening with the Somali daycare centers in Minnesota. But did you know that in the state of Washington, there are 539 more Somali daycare centers? 539. Each receiving somewhere between $1.5 million to $4 million taxpayer money every year. Now, what do you think is going to happen when Nick catches a plane out to Washington? Do you think he's going to find that these Somali daycare centers actually have children there? Or do you think like me, and you think he's going to find more of the same that he found in Minnesota? But I just want y'all to think about that for a second, because when we think about government spending, we're like 1.4 million, 1.5 million, 4 million. That's not that much money. First of all, yes, it is, especially since we're talking about state taxpayer funds. But I want you to think about that number for a second. 539. And let's say all of them got the minimal funding. If they each only got the absolute minimal funding, that's $755 million. What's more likely is it's over $1 billion. That is $1 billion of your taxpayer money going to people who aren't actually running a daycare, or as they were in Minnesota, a leering center. So either you care about fraud, waste, and abuse, or you don't. And that'll be determined whether or not you want to speak up about this. But if you're not going to speak up about this very obvious fraud, you're not going to speak up about billions of dollars of waste. That is obvious. And could you do me a favor and just shut the fuck up about everything else? I know just...
Please. By the way, what do you guys think? Dog or cat? What do you think he's got going on at home? This guy strikes me as a dog guy. Maybe a short-haired dog of some kind. Obviously gave some loves before he left the house. I'm hoping it's a dog. That's what I'm going to believe. It's a dog, people. So again, boarded up child care facilities all over the place. South King County, Washington. They got daycare centers that they're looking into. Another 20 daycares in 3-block area of subsidized housing. Everybody is looking into this. Everybody is looking into this. And people are answering the doors and they're like, nope, there's no healthcare place here. Seattle Socialist Mayor-elect Katie Wilson is backing the Somali community, of course, after fraud allegations are popping up all over the city. Glad I got a screenshot. This isn't going to age well. No, it's not. Even the Dems are going to be pissed off about this. Now, again, you've got your progressives. Sure. Yeah, they're crazy. They're nuts. That's the far extreme left. This is what the Dems have to deal with. Their party has been completely co-opted. Ours was, I say ours, I'm not a Republican. I'm never going to be. But, I hang out with you guys. So, lump myself into your category from time to time. We were taken over by a bunch of rhinos. That's how it's always been. One uniparty, but that's now changing. So again, embattled Governor Tim Walz was at Washington State at a fundraiser for Governor Bob Ferguson and pledged to bring in more Somalians and give them more handouts as the fraud was being exposed. Now, allegations of fraud are surfacing in Seattle's Somali community as well. Oh, what a shock. What about Columbus, Ohio? Same situation. Everyone's looking all over the place. All over the place. All over the place. Ohio especially, Maine, Washington, Pennsylvania, all over the place. You can't believe another kid because childcare is so expensive, but Somali fraudsters got millions of your taxpayer dollars for childcare centers that don't exist. You can't afford a home, but 100 Somalis spent millions of your taxpayer dollars on luxury properties. This will piss you off a little.
This scandal is totally appalling, but it is also unsurprising, and that's because it's a microcosm of what ails the Democratic elites. That's our Why It Matters segment for the night. The latest revelations join others in which suspected Somali fraudsters stole more than $9 billion in federal funds from 14 state-run agencies dating back to 2018. Somali Americans make up 89% of the defendants charged. The absolute scale of the fraud just beggars belief. Where were the spot checks? Where were the officials? It seems totally impossible that the Democratic leadership was not somehow in on this. Just think about how outrageous this is. You are wondering whether you can afford to have another child because childcare is so expensive. Meanwhile, a group of Somalis in Minnesota got $110 million for childcare centers that don't exist. You can't afford to buy a home, but 100 Somalis spent millions on luxury properties, millions of your taxpayer dollars. You're paying $30,000 a year for terrible health care, and they got millions for healthcare centers that they never opened for patients that they never serviced. But the fraud is a microcosm of an illness that plagues our political elites, especially on the left. More broadly, everybody comes before you. For decades, the Democrats have pushed for mass migration, both legal and illegal, which drove down the wages of working-class Americans while making competition for housing, healthcare, and an education, the hallmarks of the American dream, even fiercer. And if you objected, if you had the audacity to ask why your children were being disinherited in your country, the Democratic elites called you racist. Leftist American elites developed an entire woke vocabulary as a smokescreen to mask the mass pillaging of the American working class. They smeared hardworking people who work 10 times harder than they do, by the way, and make a fraction as much. When those working class Americans objected to having their jobs sent overseas and those jobs that remained here degraded by a glut of cheap labor. Millionaires on cable news called you racist if you said, wait a minute, why don't my kids matter? That's why people are so angry about the Somali fraud case. It is the epitome of the fraud perpetrated on the American people through the collusion of the Democratic Party, the liberal media, and people willing to take advantage of the immense generosity of the American people and then spit in our faces.
Spit in our faces. Wow, that's pretty strong language. But yes, very true. Donald Trump posted this. Minnesota daycare scandal sparks concern over election policy that allows a voter to vouch for others. Made for fraud. Yeah, and fraud we trust, as I said yesterday in my thumbnail. Trump also posted this. The Democrats are a bunch of cheaters and thieves that never want to do what's good for America. As an example, they refuse to even consider voter identification. Why? Because they want to cheat. And the Republicans should not put up with this and many other such things any longer. Hopefully, we can do that. House Judiciary GOP posted this on Twitter, or X, sorry. They said, game over. And this is referencing Byron York. They said, in a House deposition, Jack Smith was asked, did you develop evidence that President Trump was responsible for the violence at the Capitol on January 6th? Read this, and you'll see the short answer should have been no. So the question was, so did you develop evidence that President Trump, was responsible for the violence at the Capitol on January 6th? His answer. So our view of the evidence was that he caused it and that he exploited it and that it was foreseeable to him. Question, but you don't have any evidence that he instructed people to crash the Capitol, do you? Answer, as I said, our evidence is that he, in the weeks leading up to January 6th, created a level of distrust. He used that level of distrust to get people to believe fraud claims that weren't true. Says who, by the way? He made false statements to state legislatures, to supporters in all sorts of contexts, and was aware in the days leading up to January 6th that his supporters were angry when he invited them and then he directed them to the Capitol. Now, once they were at the Capitol and once the attack of the Capitol happened, he he refused to stop it. Again, not true. This is all based off of Twitter removing his posts. And again, fraud ended up being true. We're finding out in Georgia. We're finding out all over the place. So it's okay, whatever. He continues. He instead issued a tweet that, without question, in my mind, endangered the life of his own vice president. And when the violence was going on, he had to be pushed repeatedly by his staff members to do anything to quell it. And then, even afterwards, he directed co-conspirators to make calls to members of Congress, people who were his political allies, to further delay the proceedings. Yeah, Jack Smith's pile of trash. Now, he's trying to play it up as best he can. I think they're releasing his statements, which is going to give him a chance to highlight what he was trying to push. And again, it was all spin factory, what was going on, but it is what it is. More generational betrayal. HUD just found $5 billion plus in fraudulent payments in 2024 alone under Joe Biden. That's insanity.
$77 million in payments to around 30,000 dead tenants. About $150 million was paid out to people with non-existent social security numbers, and around $288 million was paid to support excessively high rent. But according to HUD, the vast majority of these incorrect payments, $5.2 billion of them, were made to people with inactive SAM.gov accounts, the government website where people can register for assistance. The payments that are being scrutinized here fall under two programs: tenant-based rental assistance and project-based rental assistance. Project-based rental assistance subsidizes housing units so low-income individuals can afford them, with the government paying the property owner, and then tenant-based rental assistance goes directly to the person in need. In total, HUD sent out around $50.4 billion in rental assistance payments in 2024 to more than 204,000 individuals. The potential error flagged by HUD would make up for around 11.5% of these payments. Secretary Turner said in a statement, HUD will continue investigating the shocking results and will take appropriate action to hold bad actors accountable.
Yeah, amen, right? Like about damn time, frankly. But it is happening. People are seeing it. President Trump calls out Somali fraud overnight. Let's check this out.
So I think we're going to do well. You saw 4.3. They were predicting 1.9, 4.3. We figured in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. We gave the military, the entire military, $1,776. $1,776. That's not bad. We're extremely happy. But we're doing great as a country. We're back. We're strong. I didn't think it could happen this fast. It's happening a lot faster than anybody would have thought possible. We have a lot of leaders here, great leaders like Tom Emmer. I watched him on television. He was talking about Somalia today. Where's Tom? He was talking about the Somalian population, and not very nicely. He was not nice. But that's okay. He doesn't mind. Where is Tom? Right there. He's great. What a great leader he is. We need you in Minnesota. We need you in Minnesota. He's actually in Washington. Big, powerful congressman, but you did a great job today, Tom. Thank you very much. We all appreciate it because we want to take back our country. Can you imagine? They stole $18 billion. That's just what we're learning about. That's peanuts. In California is worse, Illinois is worse, and sadly New York is worse. A lot of other places. So we're going to get to the bottom of all of it. It was a giant scam. Other than that, we're going to have a great new year. Actually, I view that as a reason for a good year, because we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to get that money back. It's all coming back. So I want to just do something very special. This is very different. There's a young lady named Vanessa, who's one of the greatest artists anywhere in the world. To me, she's one of the greatest. In fact, she did something last night that was incredible. She can paint slowly a beautiful portrait for the White House, or she can paint the most incredible painting in literally 10 minutes. And she's a speed painter, and she's a great painter. But I think she's one of the great living artists. And I said, do you think you'd be able to stay and interrupt the music for a couple of minutes and show them something special and draw something really special? I don't know what it is, but draw something really special. And if it's really good, what I thought I'd do is come back up.
Yeah. Again, we saw that play out earlier. So good stuff. And this is just, again, more. This is the corruption, the levels that it goes down to. Of course, the police, just so everybody remembers, police are state property. Police are there for the state. Sheriff are there for the people. Police, the state. Very much. So, yeah, the Minneapolis police chief apologizing to the Somali community because they're stealing from us, and people are pissed about it.
The Somali community here in Minneapolis has been welcoming and has shown love towards me, and I appreciate it. Over the last 3 years, we have been working together to try and address some of the real serious problems that we have in our community. We have to be honest at times with the problems that we're having in our community, and we need our community to help us fix those problems together because it's real and it's serious. At the same time, if people have taken anything that I have said out of context in a way that's caused harm, I apologize and I'm sorry for that because that's not my intention at all.
hadda caruurteena inaan garab istaagno chiefkana waa u baahannahay anagana waa isku baahannahay
cashaan oo kamid ah odayaasha communityga Soomaaliyeed iyo waalidiinta magaaladan degan ilmana ku koriyay.
Yeah, and no offense. I mean, again, Somali's one of the worst companies on the planet, and not trying to besmirch any community. I'm sure there are some Somali people that are wonderfully kind people and wonderfully good people, and probably very bummed that most of their fellow members of their country are corrupt beyond words. They stick together, I'm pretty sure. That's usually what happens in a lot of the communities that are built around specific races. They stick up for each other. Always do, always will. Not going to change. Tim Walz's 20 paid weeks of family leave program for Somalis, illegals, whatever. It's officially in effect now.
Insurance program for you that allows you, again, to take care of what you need to take care of without being forced to choose between your family, your bonding with your child, your own health, and your economic well-being. Because in Minnesota, you can do both, and we've proved that time and time again.
Yeah, so obviously we need to take away every single bit of federal dollars that they get, period. End of story. And from what I understand, that's exactly what happened. Tim Walz is furious after Minnesota loses nearly $200 million in federal funding.
Department of Health and Human Services froze $185 million for childcare in Minnesota and created new verification requirements for businesses to be able to be reimbursed. Despite the claims of widespread fraud, though, that has allegedly been allowed to go on for years, Minnesota Democrats are criticizing the president for this temporary pause.
We're taking fraud seriously. We're working every day to improve our systems, hold those criminals accountable, and move our state forward. That's why it's
Yeah, I mean, it's just insanity what they're doing. What they're doing is, yeah. Again, it's coming to the surface. People are seeing it. It's happening all over the place. Something that's disgusting. Ismail Ahmad, he's the incoming UN Secretary Council President, is Somalia's UN ambassador and also the president and CEO of a home healthcare company in Ohio. The dude that's going to be running the UN Security Council, a Somalian, who's also stealing from the United States. Yeah, this is just insanity. Democrat Renee Hardman claimed a victory in a special election for Iowa State Senate District 16 after she defeated her Republican opponent Lucas Lofton on Tuesday. This kept the Republicans from getting a supermajority in the state Senate, which would have allowed them veto power over the crap governor. Again, we need to get elections fixed. Period. I don't mean fixed like they're fixed right now. I mean repaired so we have free and fair elections that we actually can count on and trust. And right now we don't. A judicial coup would be one way to put this. There's a face of magic right here. Biden DEI Judge Trina Thompson declares herself president. She's now ordering President Trump to shield 60,000 migrants from Honduras, Nepal, and Nicaragua from deportation. You're not allowed to do that, sweetheart. Again, this is just insanity. This will be blocked, of course. She ruled to keep their temporary protected status. Anyway, it's happening. We got a Texas court. They reversed a Soros prosecutor's conviction of former Austin police officer Chris Taylor in the 2019 fatal shooting of a knife-wielding suspect, Maurice Da Silva. He is now acquitted because it was self-defense, which is what everyone was saying at the time. Taylor should never have faced prosecution for defending himself and his fellow officers against a man who threatened them with a knife. The use of force in this incident was both legal and authorized under the circumstances. So thank God that's been changed. I want to remind you guys, too, we've got Law of One. It's going to be happening today. I'll be doing that live show happening at 3 o'clock Thursday. If you want to watch it after the fact, that's totally cool. I upload it to BitChute, my YouTube channels, and it's done live on Rumble. Also, tomorrow's music, we're going to be doing some great stuff. I've got Mike, 4 for Friday, basically. So I got Mike and the Mechanics, Mr. Cutting Crew, and Matchbox 20. We'll be performing a number of wonderful songs, so hopefully you guys are able to join us for that. I do want to talk about Feel Great. Feel Great is an amazing product. Absolutely loving this product. The Unimate, which of course you can't see very well. That's a bummer, right? The light's too bright. There, it kind of can. But the Unimate one's delicious. The lemon flavor tastes like iced tea with lemon in it. It's friggin' awesome. I actually enjoy drinking it. It's something I'm like, crap, I forgot. Like, I got to get down there and drink it. It is helping tremendously. It helps with the cravings. It's helping just get through the day and not eat as much. And it's helping with my weight. It's helping with the problem that we all have, 94% of us anyways. Insulin resistance, playing a huge part. If you couple it with balance, so you do 2 of these a day, you just mix it in water, drink some water, delicious, and then you do the same with balance. You add it to some water, you drink that. That actually helps kind of fill you up a little bit, and that also helps with our insulin resistance problems. It helps with how much carbohydrates are processed in your body. It actually helps you stay healthier and trim and start losing weight. This is the thing. So many of us are overweight, and many of us are pre-diabetic or into the diabetes already, or are even kind of, sometimes the doctor's like, well, your numbers are coming up a little bit, but they're still okay. Here's the thing. You don't stop taking any of your medicines. Don't do that at all. Keep taking what your doctor's telling you. That's fine, which, generally I would suggest other things. But what you're going to find out, especially if you're someone that is monitoring your blood sugar, or if you're somebody that's getting your tests done on a regular basis, you start doing this product, you're going to notice your numbers are changing, and they're changing for the better. They're changing in the direction your doctor's going to want. Your doctor's going to trip. What are you doing? Your numbers are significantly better. We're going to go ahead and dial back some of your meds because of this. This is making a huge difference. People that have snacking and overeating problems, people with weight control issues, fatty liver, insulin resistance is really what causes most of this. And that's handled with this product specifically. People with diabetes, pre-diabetes, post-diabetes, everything in between. Erectile dysfunction is even part of that. Gut health, cholesterol, fatigue, depression, systemic inflammation, metabolic syndrome, which is where you can't get your metabolism to speed up. This actually helps with that too. It helps on so many levels, and it's good, it's easy, and it doesn't require you to do anything. You continue eating your standard diet, you just work these products in during your day, and you will find you will eat a little less. The way you process the foods will be healthier, and you'll actually start to notice your sugar levels getting better and your insulin resistance changing. I got a short video I want you to watch because they explain it better than I possibly can. But it's an incredible process. It's an incredible product. Go to otfspecial.com, otfspecial.com. Take advantage of this. It's awesome stuff. They've also got a lot of other great products. Once you get dialed in and set up on this, you can kind of go into your login page, and there's a way to shop, and it'll all get tied to you. It's fantastic. It's amazing, these products. And I've actually ordered a bunch of them. There's also one I do, that's not it, this one here. Bone Complex. I've been doing this one too. This is like a wild berry flavor, and it's got all the stuff that helps your bones, vitamins, and mineral complex for bone health. This is, again, just mix it in with some water 1 time a day, and you're off to the races. So take advantage of the Balance, the Feel Great products. There's 2. You'll get 2 of the Unimate, and you'll get 1 Balance. And you're going to be amazed at how your life will begin to change and how much better you'll feel, how much energy you'll have. You're going to love this stuff. Check it out.
If you're constantly battling low energy, cravings, weight control, watching your health slip away, listen up. There's a simple daily protocol they don't want you to know about that's helping people ditch their meds and reclaim their health. Up to 88% of Americans potentially suffer from some degree of insulin resistance. The Feel Great protocol is a simple 2-step daily system designed to help your body work with you, not against you. Step 1, Unimate, a powerful yerba mate extract clinically shown to boost mood, increase mental clarity, and support fat burning. Step 2, a patented fiber matrix called Balance. Taken before meals, it helps regulate blood sugar, curb cravings, and support healthy insulin response. That's it. No crazy diets, no meds. Just science-backed support your body actually understands. Feel Great is perfect for you if you have low energy, weight control, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, poor sleep, diabetes, snacking, sugar cravings, gut health, systemic inflammation. This isn't a trend, it's a transformation. Start today to reclaim your health with the Feel Great protocol.
Yeah, that stuff's awesome. It will change your life. Go to otfspecial.com. That's otfspecial.com. And just prepare to be amazed. You're going to love this product. You're going to love the way you feel. And you're going to love how it changes your life. otfspecial.com. All right. Quebec apparently paid a bunch of money for a crisis team when they were helping out during COVID. And the numbers will be staggering to any of you Canucks out there, any of you honkers, any of you honk heads. I don't know what to call you guys. Geese, whatever. Needless to say, here's HRH Elliott talking about it.
I have insider information. The entire pandemic response was managed by McKinsey. They had a crisis team that worked full-time every day for the Quebec government. So from the curfew to the pass to the layoffs if you're not vaccinated to shutting down the economy were all recommendations by the crisis team of McKinsey. Guess how much we were being charged per day for these 6 guys? That crisis team of McKinsey costed $35,000 per day, and they worked for 2 years on this.
2 years, and so that actually cost Canadian taxpayers about $4.2 million just for this crisis team of 6 people for 2 years giving horrible advice. Yeah, how wonderful is that? Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed says our intelligence indicates that 3 important steps have been agreed upon with Somaliland. First, the resettlement of Palestinians in Somaliland. Second, the provision of an Israeli military base on the Gulf of Aden's coast. Third, Somaliland's accession to the Abraham Accords. These are the 3 Israeli demands that Somaliland has accepted. If these 3 are implemented, what will happen in the future? Well, a Pandora's box is probably going to be opened. I don't think we need to listen to this guy. But this is, Israel's pissed off a lot of people with this whole Somaliland thing and giving them credit and all that. So, I don't know, a lot of weird stuff going on there. Mr. Thumb in his butt. Sorry, Keir Starmer. I don't know, he always looks like someone just shoved a thumb up his butt. Can't help it. His eyes are always like, oh, my God, my eyes are huge because I can't. Oh, someone just shoved a thumb up my butt. You know, he's always got that look on his face. Look, he's even got it here, right? He's just looking at someone, and he's got that look like, what happened? Something just went in my butt. Probably did. But yeah, approval ratings for this guy are horrible. He is down into 12% range with his own party. Like his own party hates his ass at this point. So they are ripe. Nigel Farage just making a lot of ground. Hopefully he'll continue to do exactly that. We'll see how that plays out in the big picture. United States Southern Command, or Southcom, as they say, they revealed on Wednesday 2 different military operations against drug trafficking vessels between December 30th and 31st. Killed 8 narco-terrorists. I guess we have a little bit of video here. Let's check this out. Let's try to play it all, I guess. Let's try that again. There we go. So yeah, 3 boats. And I guess they get smoked. Again, they're always hiding that little dot on the inside. It's interesting why that gets blurred out. Not sure. And I'm sure anybody that knows probably shouldn't tell me or can't tell me. I'm sure they block it out for a reason. And maybe it's just showing the, like how fine the granularity is of the view, how many meters, if you will, which they've showed before. So I don't know, not exactly. But yeah, they smoked 3 of those boats. And I don't know if this is a different one. I think it is. Boom. Yeah. Bad day at the office for that guy. And again, I don't know, part of me feels bad if you got people that are fishermen, quote unquote, that are being paid or threatened to drive these boats. It's very unfortunate that they are losing their lives. But again, just because somebody forces you to put a gun in your hand and then marches you out onto the front lines, are we supposed to not treat you as a combatant? Kind of doesn't work that way. So these guys would be smarter to just take these boats and then go driving off someplace else, you know, waving a white flag or something, you know, let the boat be taken over, whatever the case is. There is the crew. So this is that Bella 1 ship that they were chasing and trying to take. We were trying to take. It was, and we had the legal orders to be able to take it. So they literally go to court when these things happen, the international courts, and they're like, look, this is what's up. That's why we're taking this boat. This boat belongs to so-and-so, and it shouldn't. Now, what these guys did while they're out running away from the Coast Guard and everyone else is they actually painted a Russian flag on the side, and now Russia's claiming it's one of their ships. And that's creating a bit of a problem. We don't know exactly what's true, but we can't attack them now that they've actually changed the flag on the ship. So we'll see what happens from this. Russia's doing something interesting here, trying to help Venezuela. Again, we're going back and forth with Russia. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're trying to make money off this the situation too. We're shutting down a lot of their abilities to make money. So, it's happening, whatever the case is. New Trump-Xi showdown approaches as Chinese tankers press ahead to Venezuela despite the blockade. There are two Chinese-flagged, very large crude carriers are proceeding towards Venezuelan waters despite the U.S.-imposed blockade. Be curious what all comes with them, whether or not they bring some of their, the 55 series destroyers they got. I don't know. Be curious to see what all they bring with them and whether or not we do anything about this. I'm very curious to see, in fact. So these ships are expected to get to Venezuela, I think they're saying by mid-January. They've got quite a long haul to go to get there. I think right now they've crossed the Cape of Good Hope, I believe was that one. And so they're going to probably be in the Venezuelan areas pretty soon. So again, we'll keep tabs. We'll see what happens. I think it would be super cool if Trump does try to do something about this. China's really far away. So if they're bringing ships with them, cool. That kind of weakens them up a little bit when they've got to kind of diversify their forces. Again, a lot of people are saying, yeah, they've got lots of ships. Well, they do, but a lot of small ships. They don't have a lot of like big ships, but they've got enough. They've got a pretty sufficient amount of ships. They've also got that new hypersonic ship, anti-ship missile that they call a carrier killer. I don't know. I mean, they could F up a carrier possibly with it, but sinking a carrier is extraordinarily difficult to do. Extraordinarily difficult to do. In fact, when they tried to do one off the coast, I want to say it was off the, either A, it was in Hawaii area, or it was just in the Pacific off our coast, one of the two. But they actually took an old carrier. I want to say it was like a World War II era, or maybe Korean War or early Vietnam, something to that effect. And they literally had to blow it up. They had to literally put charges and everything around this thing so it would actually sink. They're extraordinarily hard to sink. Extraordinarily hard to sink. They don't sink well. You can blow them up. You can mess up the top. You can blow up all the people. It still, damn thing would sit there smoldering, floating. Like, they just don't sink easily. Whatever. I don't know. And I would assume if they're using any sort of missile that's got like a nuclear device on it or something crazy like that, we would respond in kind. So there is this weird level that somehow China is superior. And this is being told to us, so we're scared. So we fear China when we shouldn't. And Trump's not scared, and that's what really comes down to. And so, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. This is going to be an interesting conundrum that's going to happen. A lot of crazy stuff going on with Ukraine and Russia. There's graphic photos, but they don't show anything graphic in, unfortunately. But there was a Ukrainian attack on a Russian New Year's party. I don't know who all was there. There might have been some specific people that were at this party. But they blew up this party. 24 people were killed, and some 50 people were injured in a drone strike in the Kherson region. They did some pretty extensive damage. Again, don't know who all was here, who was enjoying this party, but there's definitely some dead people from it. We had a swarm of Ukrainian kamikaze drones were intercepted near Moscow. So this is another big attack that they were trying to bring in. They've been having a hard time, it seems, with the attacks, especially the ones going into Russia. Russia's gotten kind of wise and seems to be able to protect themselves. We have a terror plot targeting Russian school children was foiled. The FSB took this dude down. I don't know if it's worth playing. We'll see.
What's this?
Russians don't screw around at all. They don't screw around at all. Yeah, that dude's getting smoked. He's going to get smoked bad. Yeah, so he had 2 knives and supposedly a bunch of Molotov cocktails, and he was planning on, I guess, attacking children. Generally doesn't go over well. CIA is refuting the claims that Ukraine targeted Putin's home in a drone strike. Now, we now know for fact, one, the CIA is a lying sack of shit, and they've consistently been lying sacks of shit. So whenever the CIA comes out with anything, any normal, rational individual instantly goes, that's probably not true. Well, in this case, it wasn't. So the CIA says, no, they didn't, Ukraine didn't attack Putin's house. That's nonsense. Well, Ukrainian drone flight plan was pulled from the drone they shot down. They shot down and they blew out the tail of this thing, so they were actually able to get to it. They were able to check out the software. And gee whiz, they were able to actually see the flight plan that was programmed in this thing. Now, it's not easy to see, but yeah, they see exactly where it came from and exactly where it was supposed to go. Now, they shoot a lot of these drones. They don't all target the same building. They're not all trying to all right, hit the presidential palace, all 91 of you. No, they spread them out. There's numerous buildings that were on this attack list, and none of those got hit, fortunately. But yeah, they were a lot of them were shot down before they even got close. Then the rest of them were shot down pretty much once they got into the Novgorod region, which is where Putin's residence was, and some of these other buildings. So we know, well, they know exactly where it came from. This was definitely Ukraine. Definitely Ukraine. You don't go after presidential palaces. You just don't do that. That's a no-no. That's off limits. That's illegal. So this is one more example of, well, why we don't trust Ukraine at all. The Finnish police, they apparently seized a Russian-linked ship. They're accusing this of cutting some undersea cables. They said it was dragging its anchor. I don't know. I don't believe this either. I think this is a bunch of nonsense, especially coming from the Finns. No offense to the Finnish people that might be out there, but we know you guys, them and Sweden were the newer additions to NATO, and they've been certainly about as bad as Poland, frankly. So NATO's toast. NATO's not going to survive. NATO needs to just become a European thing, and then we can get the hell out of it and stop giving them any money and let Europe worry about the problems that Europe keeps creating for themselves rather than trying to drag us into it. Ain't gonna happen. Russia bombards Ukraine's Odessa with drones amid tense peace talks. So they're hitting back, and well, they're actually effective in their attacks. They're actually blowing stuff up. Drones and missiles and all sorts of stuff. Widespread blackouts have been happening. Supposedly there's a big blackout in Moscow too, which I'm not sure exactly what all is going on there, but yeah, crazy world, folks. Iran protesters are trying to break into government buildings in the 4th consecutive night of unrest, so they are getting a little more crazy. And we are, we're hearing that the government themselves are actually threatening to put this down. There's protests in Iran continue to spread across several cities on the 4th day, with universities and additional workers' unions joining the demonstrations. In the southern city of Fasa, initial reports of protesters seizing control of the governor's building followed the retreat of others, I guess. But yeah, they got a mess going on out there, right? So Iran is grinding to a standstill as protesters take to the streets. Crowds chant death to Khomeini. This is a pretty big deal. Khomeini's not going to take this sitting down, lying down, whatever he does. To keep him so he's got to be like 400 years old. Was this his dad, or do they all just look the same? Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and I forget what this guy was called, but whatever. He was the one that everyone tried to get the hell out of Iran. So many Iranians or Persians ended up here was because of the original Ayatollah. I can't remember his name. I thought it was Khomeini also, but whatever. Trump-backed candidate officially wins Honduras presidential election, so very, very cool. This hopefully helps get South America or Central America into a better place. We'll see how that tends to work out. But this guy was endorsed by Trump, which is always fun. Jailed Sean Diddy Combs. He pulled his $61.5 million Beverly Hills freak-off mansion from the market yet again. He does realize he's going to get out of jail at some point. So this giant-ass home where all the Diddy parties happened, was on the market, is now being removed from the market. And he is, well, many are speculating, likely he's going to want to go back to this house. It's obviously a really nice house. Holy crap. And then it's got a guest house, I guess, for probably the people that work there, I assume. Craziness, right? There's another thing that's like, I don't feel like a lot of the truth has come out of all the Diddy stuff either. I think it was definitely more tied into the entertainment industry as opposed to other stuff. But we had him, we had the Playboy Mansion, and these guys were in very close proximity, supposedly tunnels connecting them, and likely that's true. We've also got all the Epstein stuff. So there's a number of these types of situations that have been going on for a long time, probably all intelligence-oriented projects. These people are making extreme amounts of money to get blackmail on individuals. I think they're all the same. I mean, different, but the same, the basic same thing. So, again, beautiful home. Craziness, right? Look at that. Why does it look like a big thing of pot? That's funny as hell. I guess you see what you want to see when you're looking at something, huh? But yeah, wow, just manicured, beautifully manicured lawns, and very nice. This is, I guess, what $51 million will buy you. Not too shabby. Finally, something that's very cool. Actual images from Pluto. Now, some people might not believe that, don't particularly care. But engineers had 72 hours to restore everything. This probe is now 5 billion miles out. It's still whispering data back to Earth, but they got 50 gigabytes of Pluto data, or photos, using technology that's slower than your phone's Bluetooth. Yeah, way slower, in fact. Now, again, these probes that were sent out there were launched in, the early 90s or something like that? A long time ago. So, yeah, not surprised they don't have anything too terribly crazy. But here is some pictures, actual pictures of the image of Pluto. I just add that in. I actually think this is Pluto, but a lot of people would say, oh, you don't know that for sure. You're right. This could be friggin' Antarctica for all I know. But, yeah, anyway, it's supposed to be Pluto. Kind of cool. Actual images from Pluto. It's amazing how lit up it is, frankly. That part trips me out. What do they have, like a giant flash? Right? Giant ass flash. Gigawatt flash. So yeah, they got all sorts of crazy ice and then some sort of like frozen ocean or something. I don't know. I don't know where Pluto used to be or used to come. But yeah, it's just crazy images. Crazy images. World's changing, folks, and I'm just super happy to be a part of it. We've got a lot that's going on, a lot of change that's coming, but Democrats are waking up. Even them are waking up. Nobody likes having their money stolen from their pockets, with the exception of the thieves who are stealing it. They love it. The rest of us don't. We're winning this war, and things are going to get very hot in 2026. Get ready, be ready, and continue to make ripples, guys. You're making the difference. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.